My name is Mary Jo Larson. I'm the Assistant Dean of Education here at PLU, and I'll be sharing the information about our programs this evening. And I'm joined by my colleague Alex from the Graduate Admissions Office. And she's also available to answer questions and be in contact with you as you are preparing your application or other questions that you might have as you're getting ready to start our program. I'm going to be talking about our one-year master's degree with teacher certification, as well as our alternative routes to teacher certification program. Both are graduate level programs with just some slight variation in how they're offered and who they're for. So again, our graduate programs include our one-year master's degree and our alternative routes to certification. Some of the similarities between our two pathways at the graduate level are they are both cohort models. That means you start with the same group of other students and you go through the whole program together. So you really build a cohesive group and strong relationships. They both start in June and go for one academic year for the certification portion. They both have a form of a year-long internship in a school, again, with slight differences in how that's formatted. And then our one-year master's degree is really geared towards individuals coming straight out of college or who have recently graduated from college or who are career changers in other fields, particularly who haven't had school experience before. Our alternative routes to certification program is primarily geared for folks who are already have experience in schools as paraeducators or conditional teachers, or you've had extensive substitute teaching experience, or you're a career changer in a high needs field such as math or science, or you already have an advanced degree. So there's some differences there. And then we also offer the specific coursework for several of the endorsements or content areas that we offer at PLU. And you can see those on the slide, and I will talk more about how those fit into our program here in a minute. So a lot of similarities in the two graduate pathways. The key differences being that the one-year master's degree is for most people, and alternative routes is particularly for those folks with current or recent school experience. The other key difference being the one-year master's program, you earn your certificate and your master's degree in 1 year. With alternative routes, you earn your teaching certificate in 1 year and then have the option to take some additional coursework over the next 4 to 6 months after that certificate to finish the master's degree. So as you're thinking about where you want to pursue your teaching program, we want to make sure that you understand who we are and what we're about at PLU. And so these are our guiding principles that share or explain what we're about. And as you can see, the first one is the importance of relationships. We mean the relationships that you will build with your students, that you'll build with your colleagues, your students' families, the school community, that those are really key to having effective learning going on in our schools and our classrooms. That we're focused on socially just, equity-focused instruction, that collaboration and having your students engaged in the active construction of their knowledge is essential to the full learning for students, that their learning and their curriculum should be culturally relevant and intellectually rich. All students have a right to rich content, regardless of ability or socioeconomic status or background or what school they go to. And that teaching and learning is really complex. That's why you're looking to come to a program. There's a lot to learn to be able to do teaching well or be a really effective educator. And then you can see the PLU mission at the bottom that our guiding principles are aligned to. So some benefits of pursuing a master's degree, particularly at PLU. So if you finish a master's degree and you become a first-year teacher, your starting salary in most of our area school districts will be well over $70,000. In some districts, it's even into the low 80s potentially. We have a strong theory, research, and practical-based connections and balance in our program. So when I was talking about the complexity of teaching and learning, we really dive into that at PLU. Some programs you might hear about teaching programs, people criticize them for being really divorced from or separate from or not in tune with what's currently happening in schools. They're too theory and research based. Other programs are really only practical focused. They say things like, oh, everything you need to know about teaching, you can learn on the job. And we are in the middle where we bring those two ends of the spectrum together and have a balance. So you do have a lot of practical opportunities and practical experience in our program, but you also get a lot of strong theory and research and best practices so that you have a deep well of resources and your own knowledge and wisdom to draw from, and not just a couple tools that if they don't work, you're lost. So we really prepare strong novice teachers. We have collaborative in-person coursework. So our program is in person on our PLU campus. And again, most teaching is done in person in public schools. And so having that in-person experience, and that gives you that chance to collaborate with your colleagues and with faculty. We get to know you. You're not just a name or a number or a Zoom window. We know who you are and we can support you. You have that year-long internship in a public school, so you really get the rhythm of the year. And again, that extensive practical experience. We have a really high job placement rate, your first year or two out of our program, and our alums are sought by local principals and school districts. And I'll talk more about why I think that is and what our data shows us. But again, I think a big piece of it is that strong preparation with extensive practical and research and theory and best practices that you get in our program. So that's some of the big picture ideas. I want to now share with you exactly what your year will look like if you come to PLU for teacher education. So again, both of our graduate pathways start with summer coursework from the middle of June through the very beginning of August. These are going to be your foundations courses, your introduction to school systems, your first classroom management class, special education class. We have all teacher candidates take 2 special education classes so that you can support all students of all abilities in your classroom. You start to get an introduction to the teaching methods, how to write lesson plans, some beginning information about assessing students. So we really front load a lot in the summer. It's an intense experience. But you get a lot of the information front loaded so that you have time to be in your internship a lot during the academic year. Then in fall, your coursework really begins to turn even more towards the methods. So the how to teach, for example, our elementary candidates, how do you actually teach children to read? High school candidates learn everything from how to lead a seminar discussion to lab safety if you're a STEM candidate, to how to identify student misunderstanding and corrections in math. So it's really about how do you teach. For our one-year master's candidates, you're out in your internship site 3 days a week in the fall semester, and you're on campus for coursework 2 to 2.5 days, where you're continuing to get that methods coursework. For alternative routes candidates, so again, those folks who are current paraeducators or teachers on limited certificate or career changers in high needs areas, you're out in your school 5 days a week, so full-time in the P12 school, and you come for your coursework on Saturdays. I will say that our elementary candidates in the master's program typically also have some Saturday coursework that's balanced out, less coursework during the week and some Saturday coursework. Then we have a 1-month January term at PLU, and that rhythm continues of some time in your practicum or internship and some coursework, a couple evenings a week and a couple Saturdays in January, where you kind of round out, finish your methods coursework, because in spring, that's when you're doing your full-time student teaching. So at this point, our one-year master's candidates, you're also out in the school 5 days a week, really mirroring the role of your mentor teacher, staying for meetings, contacting parents, planning, grading, continuing to build those relationships with your students for the full spring semester. That's your chance to synthesize what you've learned with practice it with support and feedback so that you're ready to be that first year teacher the following fall. So that's the essential rhythm of the school year. In the spring, you have a seminar to, as you're synthesizing and to put together our final program assessment. So you'll see coursework is heavy at the beginning and it tapers off, and your internship is a little bit lighter at the beginning and it expands as you go through the program. So let's talk more about what that internship entails. So it is a year-long, or our full academic year-long internship for our master's candidates. Like I said, it's 3 days a week in the fall and J term, and then full-time in spring. Our spring semester is 15 weeks, and out of those 15 weeks, you're taking that full, complete role of the teacher, as I was describing, from lesson planning, teaching, grading, contacting parents, attending meetings, kind of doing the full job of the teacher for a full 8 weeks out of the 15. Those additional weeks are to kind of ramp up and do it, taper off, maybe observe some other teachers in your building that teach a similar content so you get a broader perspective. So it's a very busy and rewarding semester. It's also a highly personalized placement process for matching you to your internship site. We ask you a lot of questions. We get to know your interests within your content area that you want to teach. And we go out and we work with school districts. We say we have 3 math candidates and 2 history candidates and 4 elementary candidates, and they then contact their teachers to see who's available and willing to host a student teacher. So it's a very personalized human process that places you at your internship site. And again, if you're a paraeducator or a conditional teacher, we work with you as much as possible to have that placement be at your current place of employment for as long as we can. And then sometimes, depending on your district, you may have to take unpaid leave for a portion of that student teaching experience in the spring. And usually for our alternative routes candidates who are current school employees, I just recommend you set up a one-on-one appointment, and we can talk about your current employment situation, what you're interested in teaching, and how that could look for you, because it's very individualized to your specific situation. So when we talk about what content areas do we offer at PLU, or can you earn if you come to PLU, this is our list of content areas. In teaching in Washington, they're called endorsements. So an endorsement says what content you're approved to teach and at what grade range. So most of our secondary endorsements include middle and high school. The elementary endorsement includes elementary and middle school as well. And then we have a number of K-12 endorsements where you could teach that particular content anywhere from elementary through high school. Those are our content areas like arts, language, special education, music, a few of those. So this is our list. The reason there's 2 different colored fonts is in a 1-year program, we're really focused, like I said earlier, on the how to teach. When we got to pack a lot in 1 year to really make sure that you're ready on your first day of school in your own classroom. So we want to make sure that you already are deeply immersed and have strong content preparation in the what you're going to teach before you come to PLU. So we're focused on the how to teach it. You need to bring the what to teach to our program. And so all of these content areas or endorsements that are in the white font, those are ones that we would expect you to have content and coursework preparation before you come to the program. So for example, if you want to teach biology and you majored in biology, you've met that requirement and on down the line. If you wanted to teach elementary education, for example, we look to say to make sure you've got some science, some math, some literature, some history, kind of all the content areas that elementary teachers are going to teach. So any content area that's in white, you should have that background content preparation, the what, done before you come. The reason we require that at PLU is because having a strong content foundation is really essential in order to be able to teach it well. Being able to identify, again, in math, for example, student miscues or misunderstandings or common ways that math can trip kids up is hard if you don't have a deep understanding of math yourself. That's why we require that, and that's again one of the reasons why principals seek out our candidates and that they're so well prepared. So one thing you can do is if you majored in the content area that's on this list, physics, French, math, earth and space science, chemistry, whatever it is, you're good to go. If you did not major in one of these content areas, you can still pursue it. Just send us your transcript and we'll look and make sure you have enough coursework and the right kind of distribution of courses to be ready to teach it. Then we let you know, hey, if you are missing something, you're missing a class in X or Y, and you can go out and take that anywhere prior to starting our program. And we've got advice about some places where those courses are affordable and accessible. So again, the white ones come with the content. The only exceptions are English language learners and special education. You don't need to have any background or coursework in those two areas, as we offer all of that coursework at PLU through our continuing education department online during your first summer. So that each of those endorsements is about $4,500 in extra tuition, which is a significantly reduced rate. And again, online during your first summer. So if you're interested in ELL or special education, I'm happy to talk to you more about what that entails and how that works with the rest of the coursework that you're taking in person during your first summer. So as we're looking at the preparation for the program, here's our prerequisites. It is a graduate program, so you need to have a bachelor's degree in order to start. If you're currently finishing your bachelor's degree, you can still apply. You just need to have it done before you can enroll and start that first class. 3.0 GPA, your endorsement coursework, that's what I was describing on the prior slide about having some content depth and breadth in what you want to teach. Pacific Northwest Histories with an emphasis in Indigenous culture and history and government-to-government agreements. This is a state requirement, and it is really an important one. All teachers are expected to integrate what's called the since time immemorial curriculum into their teaching, whether you're an elementary teacher or math or science or social studies, all teachers are expected to integrate that. And we get really deep into that in our program. But this coursework is a state requirement, sort of foundational background information about that in order to be able then to step in and start engaging with the curriculum. We offer this as a 1 credit continuing education self-paced online module for $250, which most people will take during the first summer that they're enrolled with us. If you feel that you have this class and can prove it to us, then we won't enroll you in that class, but everyone has to have this class as a foundational piece. And then testing, which we'll talk about here shortly. If your bachelor's degree GPA was less than 3.0, I still encourage you to apply. We do holistic admissions at PLU. So on the application components on the right-hand side, you can see we have a personal statement, letters of recommendation, and so on. And so we look at you as a whole applicant in making our decisions on who to invite for interviews and who to admit. So do apply anyway. One more thing, we just passed our first priority deadline, but our second one, February 1st, is right around the corner. So there's still plenty of time to get ready, get your materials in. Alex is your go-to support person for any navigating our online application or anything like that. But yes, look forward to receiving those applications if you haven't already applied at our November 1st deadline. So teacher testing is another component that I referenced on the prior slide for admissions and continuation in the program. These are, again, state requirements. There's 2 main tests, a basic skills exam and a content exam that matches that endorsement that you're going to select. So again, math or elementary education or social studies, there's 1 for each of those. But the first one to worry about or think about and get taken care of is your basic skills exam in reading, writing, and math. We do prefer this to be done at the point of application. But if your scores are on the way, or you couldn't get a testing session until like the week after the application, that's okay, still apply. But it's priority to get this one taken care of. There's a couple different ways that you can meet the basic skills exam requirement. One is to register and take what's called the WEST-B, and that is at this website down here. And they have a subtest in reading, writing, and math. Alternatively, if you took the SAT or the ACT back in the day and have those scores and can have them sent to PLU, or we already have them because you're a current PLU student or alumni, then you may not need to take the WEST-B. Or you can mix and match. So when I took the ACT, there was no writing exam. If I was applying today, I could submit my ACT scores for reading and math, and then go take the WEST-B for writing. So again, you can mix and match. We have to have these scores to make informed decisions about what support you might need as a teacher candidate, but there is not a specific cut score. But we still have to have the scores. So please be diligent in getting that done. We can't have you start without them. There is the content exam for each endorsement area that you are planning to pursue. And I will just say this because it's always a question. In a pre-service program at PLU, we usually limit to 2 endorsements, maybe 3. There's ways to add more content areas once you're certified, but just again, in a 1-year, really intense program, 2, maybe 3, depending on how closely aligned they are, is pretty much the max that's doable. It's going to be called the WEST-E or the NES. We ask that you take and pass it by June 1st. This one does need to be passed, has a cut score, in order to enroll in June. If you're interested in teaching world languages, you also need to take and pass the ACT-FL or ACT-FL test, writing and speaking in the language. So Russian or Spanish or Chinese, whatever language you're looking to teach, you would take and pass the writing and speaking proficiency exam. Even if you're a heritage speaker, you still have to take and pass that test. That's just the state rule. Some preparation strategies, again, for the WEST-B, WEST-E, or NES, they're all available at this website. It includes test frameworks, give you kind of an overview of what's on the test. They have practice questions, lots of resources to register and prepare for the test. The NES exams, when you register for them, you get access to a full-length practice test for free. That's a great option. If you would like some additional guidance on preparing for the test or resources or support, you can always reach out to me. We offer free test preparation support to applicants as part of a service in order to help you prepare to start your teaching career. We don't want anything to be a barrier. So testing, basic skills, due on or near your application deadline, content exam, taken and passed by June 1st of the year you're planning to start. So let's talk cost and financial aid. So for our 1-year master's degree, again, you're getting your master's degree and your teaching certificate in 1 year. You can see the overall tuition cost for our elementary and secondary pathways. And then that additional portion that I was describing for special education or ELL. That's 18 credits that we offer at a really reduced tuition rate. For alternative routes to certification, again, that first year is the certificate. And so it's going to be these amounts for that 1 year of certification. And then if you elect to finish the full master's degree, your total tuition will be the same as the 1-year master's. So some ways to pay that tuition or make your master's degree accessible. I encourage everyone to fill out the FAFSA. Even if you're really not wanting to take loans, it is the way that we offer you the federal Teach Grant, which is $4,000 typically per year. There is a teaching requirement, a certain high needs endorsement requirement, but as long as you fulfill those, you don't pay it back. So that's a great potential for free money, so to speak. And it is the way that we offer you federal loans, either for a portion or all of the cost of attendance. Most graduate students that I see qualify for enough loans to cover your full tuition. But then it's up to you whether you want to take that much financing out. If you're a PLU alum, whether you're graduating this year or you graduated whenever in the past, you will automatically receive a $5,000 alumni scholarship that's applied in your first term, which for you would be summer. So that's a nice chunk off the overall price. For those who are not PLU alums, we have merit-based scholarships up to $4,000. Those of you who may be considering the special education pathway, we have a Shireen Path Special Education Scholarship that can help defray some of that extra tuition. We also partner with the Martinez Foundation that is focused on liberation pedagogy and really preparing candidates to meet the needs of all students in their classrooms. And if you apply to be a Martinez Fellow and you're co-selected from PLU and the Martinez Foundation, then we offer some additional scholarship for that as well. And then I encourage you to look at outside associations such as Retired Teachers Associations. The Washington Student Achievement Council, or WASAC, often has student teaching scholarships. So there's other outside grants and scholarships available as well. But again, I encourage everyone to do the FAFSA. That helps keep your options open for paying for your graduate school. So with that, that's the end of our formal slides. On the slide, you can see my email and a link where you can always set up an individual follow-up appointment, either in person or on Zoom.